I see you, Queen. I know that you out here raising them kids by theyself. I know you was raised with a mother that was taking care of you, your sisters, and your brothers by herself. I understand that you had to focus on your career in order to make sure that you could be able to provide for yourself and your children. I see you, Queen. I know it's hard out here trying to be with a man and he ain't really being a man. So you having to be a mother and a father. I see you, Queen. You trying to go through your rites of passage, but then you got all these men gawking at you, looking at you because you coming into your adolescence. I see you, Queen. I know what you going through. See, I had a strong mother that taught me about the things that women go through. And my mother, she was a strong black woman, but she ain't had the support that she needed. And this is so common in the black family in the United States of America. What are we doing? Are we raising the men and the women in a way where there will be no unity? Right? Like, what's going on? What are we actually doing out here? You know, these questions need answers, and they need answers now, and ways and paths need to be provided for those that want to do the work. You know, because these women can't do this by themselves, right? You know, in the world that we living in today, the women is more educated than their counterparts. And that's not just black women, that's all women of all races and all walks of life. 10 times more educated than their counterparts. Why? Because we live in a world where men have not been standing up and doing the things that they need to do. And so the women been carrying a lot on their shoulders. And that's not their job. You know, if I create a scenario for y'all right now, a baseline, a foundation, and I'm not saying that this is all that women are, but I'm just giving a baseline to pivot on the point that I'm making. And that's this. A woman can bear children, right? A woman is not as strong as a man physically, right? A woman is a nurturer, a consoler, right? So why do they have to be a woman and a man at the same time? See, a lot of women are coming up believing that they don't need a man. And I understand why they come to this conclusion. Because if they have to do everything themselves, why do they need us? But there is a big problem in that resolve. And that's, you know, women having children and there's no parents. There's not two parents in a household. And so even though the strength is being shown, what's happening is that the unification of the father and the mother is not taking care of the child together. And so when you look off into the world and you start looking around and you start seeing the problems that's occurring, when you think about how psychiatrists label a problem, it's from cyclic things happening over and over again. And so is it that they have a definition to how insanity shows up, and they have a name for how it shows up, right? Because all of these things is repetitive. So when you have the sisters going out here and they educating themselves and they providing a lane for themselves and they don't need a man, what's the conclusion? How do we not understand what is the answer to the problem? Well, for me, there's a lot of things that need to happen, right? The counterpart needs to step up. The counterpart needs to take responsibility for themselves, right? And so I see you, Queen. That's why your big brother here right now, trying to let everybody know what's going on. Because what's actually going on is a lot of crazy stuff. You know, we're moving in a way forward where it's so predictable and unpredictable what's actually going to happen here in the next 30 to 50 years. There's been a drop on children being born. And so I don't know if that's a push to, have more children or what. I don't know what's the big push for that. But what I do know is that there's a lot of men not having sex. There's a lot of women that's not focusing on the men. And so for me, that makes me uncomfortable because I would love to see people together again, being in love again, working together, right? Figuring things out together. Tyler Perry, he had a movie. I want to say it was Why Did I Get Married? I think it was either the first one or the second one. And the older couple was like, hey, it pains me to see that a lot of people won't understand what they have. That couple was supposed to be married 40 and 50 years. There's a lot of this is becoming a thing of the past where, lifelong commitments to each other is dissipating and it's fleeting, right? And so when I say I see you, Queen, I mean that. I understand the pain. I understand the disappointment. And I understand the strength that has been built over the past 100 years, probably. Ain't none of this stuff that I'm talking about new, but it's definitely a problem, right? And so, Queen, let's talk. Let's mend together the problems that we have in these lifetimes and these moments that's being created. So why did I name this video I See You, Queen? Because I see a lot of strong women around the world making great decisions. But what is the cost of some of these great decisions? Some of these great decisions is costing loneliness. And like I said in my other video, what's a queen without a king? What's a king without a queen, right? So I'm for sure that companionship comes together as one for a reason. Let's figure this out. Let's get together and figure this out. And it's not going to be in one day. But it only starts with one person. And then everybody else start catching on. Right? And so I want to say I love y'all, Queen. I know y'all elevating to goddess status. from being a queen. And I like to thank every one of y'all for being beautiful and strong. And, for the women that have not been able to find strength, I hope that y'all find strength in my words. Y'all find strength in words that encourage you the most, right? And I hope that you find your way into your queenship, into your goddess status, right? And, I just wanted to put that out there because, for me, this channel covers so many different topics. And I do that for a reason. Because the topics that I talk about, it introduces problems and answers. It introduces different angles on how we look at information, especially when you talk about what it's doing for the people and what it's doing to the people. And so I want to thank everybody for listening. And so, Queen, I want to ask you to share this with one of the sisters so she'll know that there's a brother out here that understands. There's a man out here that understands. There is a king out here that understands. Right? And so, from that, please like and subscribe and share. And let me know down in the comment if, you understand where I'm coming from, that you understand that I understand where you coming from and some of the struggles that you going through, and, I want to tell all of y'all to have a blessed day and keep being strong and keep making executive decisions. All right? Peace.